Okay, so we are driving up to Pennsylvania to pick up Sue because she's finally finished. So we've been on the road for almost 6 hours now. It's a long drive to get from South Carolina to Pennsylvania. We've got about 3 hours left to go, and then we're going to get there tonight, and we'll pick up Sue first thing in the morning, and then we're going to drive all the way back to South Carolina. And it's just going to be a very long, hectic weekend. The logistics for this weekend have been really stressful because we found out like Monday that the Jeep was going to be ready. And so then I had to figure out the logistics of renting a truck. And there was no trucks to be rented in South Carolina, like in Columbia where we live. And so I ended up having to get a truck out of Charlotte, which is like an hour and a half away. And then we're taking the truck up to Pennsylvania, and then I couldn't find a U-Haul auto carrier, the trailer for the Jeep. So I couldn't find one of those around where we were going to be. So once we get to Pennsylvania, we've got to drive even further to get the trailer. Then we got to pick up the Jeep, and we got to bring it back. And then we're got to drop off everything in Charlotte because that's the last place that we have access to everything. So then we got to figure out how to get from Charlotte back to Columbia, and there's a couple of options for that, and I still don't know which one we're going to do. So, but anyway, come along with us and meet the new Sue. You remember when gas was like $1.89? I missed those days a lot. All right, so it's the next morning. We got into Pennsylvania last night. We stayed at a pretty cheap hotel. I didn't get much sleep, and the adventure continues because now we are at U-Haul, and I had a reservation for the auto trailer to tow the Jeep back, and the trailer is not here. The person who had it before us never returned it yesterday, so we don't have a trailer to tow the Jeep. And now we're searching for a trailer. So the logistical nightmare of getting my Jeep back is continuing to plague us a little bit. But we're hopeful things will work out. I guess worst case scenario is I'm driving it back, but I really, really don't want to do that. All right, so we finally tracked down another car hauler trailer. It's about 30 minutes from where we are, which is about 30 minutes from where we were. So it's like an extra hour of driving to track down this trailer. But it's really the only choice we have, so we're doing it. And but it's all getting done. It's all getting done. We'll be home at some point. All right, so we made it to U-Haul place number 2, and they have the trailer, so we're good to go. All right, well, we got the trailer, but the crazy with the logistics of this continues because for whatever reason, the U-Haul computer system couldn't understand the difference between my house and where we have to drop off the truck. And so it was saying the closest place that we could drop off the trailer was like an hour and a half away from our destination in the wrong direction, like past it. And so it's just, they're like, all right, they finally gave up. I argued with them for a while, and they were finally like, you know what, whenever you get close, just call U-Haul and tell them which one you want to drop it off at. So we've got to figure out the logistics still of where to drop off trailers and all that kind of stuff once we finish with all this. But yeah, so it's just been one thing after another. But we were almost there. We're pulling up to get the Jeep now, and then we're going to get on the road because this has already taken us 2.5 hours longer than we wanted to. All right, we are finally here, and I'm ready to see the Jeep in person for the first time. Oh, I'm so excited. It's a big surprise. I got to do the whole reveal thing, so I'm waiting for a second, but I'm so excited. Are you ready for me?
Come on in.
Oh, look at that! That is so awesome. It's so good. Oh, look at that. Nice. I'm so excited. Like, it looks so good. I'm so excited. I gotta go over here and look at some more stuff.
There's really no way to tell that this was ever a red Jeep.
Yeah.
But you got new decals, new hood bumpers, new jack,
Yeah.
new fender stickers, relays for the fog lights. so excited.
I'm so excited. It's so green. We took a few minutes to chat and look over all the details of the Jeep, but eventually it was time to leave, so we took the Jeep and we loaded it onto the trailer and we hit the road. The drive back to South Carolina took us about 12 hours and we didn't get home till almost midnight. But the ride was totally worth it. Along the way, we had so many people taking pictures as they drove by, waving, giving us thumbs up. It just made me feel really good that people were already enjoying the Jeep. All right, so it took about 12 hours to get home, but we finally made it, and I am so excited to show you the Jeep. But before I do, go ahead and hit the like button, because I'm not going to show it to you till you do, and I'll wait. Did you hit the like button? Did you do it? Good. All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to walk you through the whole Jeep, what is screen accurate, what is not so screen accurate, and some of the things we did to make it look screen accurate. But anyway, I'll walk you through the whole thing. So here you go. So this is a 1992 Jeep Wrangler, which is the original model for the Jurassic Park Jeeps. The only difference is the Jurassic Park Jeeps were the Sahara model. My Jeep was not a Sahara model. So what I had to do was first make it look like a Sahara model and then put all the Jurassic Park stuff on top of that. So let's start with the outside. So the biggest change from my Jeep to the Jurassic Park Jeep is the paint scheme. Now obviously my Jeep was red and now it is officially sand beige. This is the correct paint for the Jurassic Park Jeeps. Now when you watch the movie, in some shots it looks tan, in some shots it looks kind of silver. And part of that is because this sand beige is such a unique and awesome color. Depending on the light that you're in, it does in fact look very tan and sometimes looks very silver or even gold. It also had a lot to do with the way the movie was color graded and what formats the movie was released on, so it looks a little bit different on DVD versus Blu-ray, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is this is the correct sand beige paint scheme. And obviously it wouldn't be a Jurassic Park Jeep without the red stripes and the numbers. And those are all the Ford Performance Red. No one knows exactly which red the Jeeps used, but the consensus is that the Ford Performance Red is the closest match that anyone can agree on. Now where mine starts to differ a little bit is in the number. In the Jurassic Park movies, each Jeep gets its own number. I decided to go with my own number, number 92. It's a number I chose, so that number is not screen accurate. But I did that on purpose because I want this to be my Jeep. And you know, when I went out and about, I want it to feel like it's mine. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same as the movies. If I picked a movie number, I'd feel like it'd have to be exactly the same. Now that said, there are 4 Jeeps in Jurassic Park. 2 of the Jeeps were the Jeeps that picked up the guests. So they picked up Malcolm and Dr. Grant and Ellie Sattler and all those characters, right? They picked them up from the helipad and they took them in, and you see the famous scene where they see the dinosaur for the first time and the music plays and they stand up in the Jeep and all that kind of stuff. So those are 2 of the Jeeps. Then there's Muldoon's Jeep, which has sort of these toolboxes on the side, and that's a different Jeep. And then the last Jeep is Nedry's Jeep. It's the Jeep that he goes off trying to escape to the docks in the rain, ends up crashing and getting eaten by the dinosaurs. The thing that made Nedry's Jeep unique was that it had the actual lights on the light bar. The other Jeeps did not have lights on the light bar. And that was a product of how the film had to be shot. They originally had the lights, and then those lights ended up being in the way of camera angles, so they removed those lights for the 2 main convoy Jeeps, but they left them on Nedry's Jeep. So the only Jeep in Jurassic Park that has these lights is Nedry's Jeep. So let's talk about these lights for a second, because they're a fun and unique piece of this build. So the original lights are a Jabsco marine light, and those lights are still in production. You can still buy them. They're fairly expensive, and they are mobile, meaning they move around. There's a switch inside that lets them turn left and right and all that kind of stuff, so you can maneuver them. They are searchlights. Mine are not the actual Jabscos. They're actually like a Chinese knockoff of them. They were about half the price. And I went with them because I heard that they were the same thing, that they were identical to the Jabscos, but a lot cheaper. So that's what I went with. Unfortunately, what I learned in the process of doing this build is that they are not actually identical. And where they differ the most is in the switches that mount in the dash. The switches are completely different. So if I wanted to have screen accurate switches, I'd have to use the Jabsco switches. So long story short, what I ended up doing is getting the knockoff lights but connecting them to actual Jabsco switches. Now, I ended up kind of getting the best of both worlds when I did that, because the Jabscos had a problem where, especially on a vehicle, they'll get bounced around and they'll shift position some. So you might be driving down a road and lights will start kind of bouncing and going in different directions and things like that. For whatever reason, the knockoffs don't do that. I don't know all the technical reasons for it, but the reality is that the knockoffs from that perspective are better, but the switches were garbage. So ended up with the Jabsco switches, put them on the knockoffs, and I kind of got the best of both worlds because these don't bounce around. They'll stay where I put them. And they do work. Speaking of the lights, all of the Jurassic Park Jeeps have in common the light bar, which is sort of iconic. It was an original OEM light bar that was put on, but that light bar has not been made. Super hard to find. There are some aftermarket ones, but they're not exact. They don't look quite right. They're like in 3 pieces. It was a lot easier to go with someone who would actually fabricate the light bar that was needed. And so there is a company that fabricates these light bars specifically for these conversions. And if you're interested in one of those, I'll put a link down to a lot of this stuff in the description and you're free to check it out. But all of these resources can be found on the Jurassic Park Motor Pool website, which will be linked in the description below. So another set of lights that is crucial to both the Jurassic Park films and the Sahara model Jeeps were the front fog lights. Now, these front fog lights are incredibly hard to find, and when you do find them, they're also now very expensive. So what I ended up finding was someone who could 3D print the light. Basically, it's a 3D printed housing, and it holds actual fog lights inside of it. So all the fog light guts are mounted in the screen-accurate fog lights. The advantage to that is it's a far cheaper option than trying to find the original fog lights. The disadvantage is they're 3D printed, so up close they don't look nearly as good. They're not made of metal. They're not nearly as durable. In fact, one of them actually already cracked on me and I had to fix it a little bit. So this is really a short-term solution until I can even find original fog lights to put on it. But the goal would be eventually to put on the real Sahara fog lights, but you make do with what you can. The last set of lights on the Jeep are the rear fog lights. Now, these are not completely screen accurate, but they're really, really close. So the 99th percentile of the population would never know the difference. They would just see them and think, oh, it's the rear fog lights. They're not technically the screen accurate fog lights, but they're pretty close, and they're way cheaper. All right, so let's talk tires for a second. In the Jurassic Park film, the Jeeps all ran original BF Goodrich KO1 all-terrain tires. The trouble is that these tires are no longer being made, and BF Goodrich has actually replaced them with KO2s. Now, generally speaking, the KO2s look very similar. They're not exact. The lettering, the spacing on those letters is a little bit different. Would most people know? No, most people wouldn't know. But buying a whole set of tires is kind of expensive, and so what Jack, who helped me build this, did is kind of genius. So what we did was put screen accurate lettering on top of the tires that I already had. And that gives it the actual screen accurate look with the BF Goodrich KO1s. And it keeps me from having to spend a whole bunch of money on tires. And I think it's a win-win. And of course, it wouldn't be the Jurassic Park Jeep without the 102-inch whip antenna, which just makes the whole Jeep look super cool. Now, full disclosure, I do not have a CB radio installed in the Jeep yet. I do have plans to install one, but right now the antenna is installed, but it's not installed to anything in particular. It is just the antenna. If you've watched my videos before or checked out the progress, you may have seen the unboxing of my Ramsey winch. Now, the Ramsey winch is one of those things that is quintessential, really, to the Jurassic Park Jeep and the look of these Jeeps. The Ramsey 6000 winch is the original winch that was on the Jurassic Park Jeeps, and that has not been made for a very long time, and consequently they are very hard to find. When you do, they're usually pretty beat up, and it's just sort of a lot of work to restore them on top of the cost of doing that. However, very recently Ramsey came out with a Jurassic Park replica edition of the winch, and they put out 200 of these limited edition winches, and I was lucky enough to get it. That said, there are some small but significant differences in the Ramsey re-release of the Jurassic Park winch versus the original winch. There are certain pieces that are a slightly different size, sticker position is a little bit different, and the quality of some of the stickers are not quite the same as the originals. That said, again, when you're looking at this, no one's ever going to know the difference, and you would have to have both models side by side to really see a difference. So is it something I'm worried about? Absolutely not. Next to the winch, we have the tow eyes. Now, these pieces were actually made specifically for the movie, and because of that, you couldn't buy them anywhere. So these had to be custom fabricated. Another thing that had to be added to my Jeep to make the look right was the side steps. And while those weren't horribly hard to find, they were a little bit challenging, and I had to go through 2 sets in order to get one set that actually worked. All right, so let's step inside and check out the interior. The interior of the Jeep is nothing more than the stock Sahara Jeep interior that came from 1992. So it's the green carpet, the green seats with the safari trim. So nothing unique to Jurassic Park in that, other than the fact that it's the original Sahara seats that I had to get to put in the Jeep. And those have become very hard to find, at least in good condition. I got really lucky. These are in pretty good condition. They're a little sun faded, but they're also 30-year-old seats. So there's going to be a little bit of wear, a little bit of tear, but in general, they're still in pretty good condition. In addition to the seats, you also have the Spice or the tan roll bar covers. And in Nedry's Jeep is the only Jeep that we see with a top, which has the full Spice or tan top that goes along with it. In the Jurassic Park movie, the other Jeeps don't have a top at all. So the 2 sort of convoy Jeeps that you see, the top is completely off of those. And in Muldoon's Jeep, it has no top. It actually has no roll bars either. So it's kind of a very different style Jeep. So there are a couple things in the Jeep that are, well, not authentic to the movie. The first one being the stereo. The previous owner who had the Jeep put in the stereo. So the radio is something I'm going to be replacing very soon. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be getting a stock OEM radio. I think those are just going to be too hard to find anything that's going to work. So instead, what I'm going to do is probably find something that looks more authentic to that time period and put that in, just so that it fills the aesthetic a little bit more. Plus, you never actually see the radios in the movie, so, you know, there's that too. So the only other thing about this Jeep that's really not technically screen accurate is what's under the hood. The original Jurassic Park Jeeps, being the Sahara model, were the 4.0 liter V6 engines. This is the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, so there is a difference there. I'm not trying to hide it, I'm not faking it. I got the 2.5 liter low output sticker on the back just to, you know, embrace it. Something else that I absolutely love is the small details that went into making this just right. Like putting in a brand new sticker along the inside of the visor here to make that really sort of stand out and be authentic is just, it's such a good touch. All right, well, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you like Sue, the Jurassic Park Jeep number 92, as much as I do. I love it so much, and I am so excited to take it on adventures and share more with you. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button because it helps out the channel a lot. If you have any questions about anything specific, anything that I didn't do, where I got things, whatever, go ahead and leave those in the comments down below, and I promise I will respond. I do a very good job of responding to almost everybody who leaves me comments. Until next time, God bless, and we'll see you soon.